If you've been enjoying some warmer, drier days, that is going to change. I'm tracking wind, rain, and cooler temperatures for many of you. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. This is your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas on this Ash Wednesday. I hope you're having a very nice day. Many of you have been enjoying some warmer and drier conditions, but there is another massive cold front, another massive weather feature coming in that will be moving in late this weekend and then into early next week. It's going to have some big impacts for a lot of us. So we're going to be highlighting that as we go through the video. First of all, to all of my subscribers, thank you so much for watching the video. If you click that like button right now, I'd certainly appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, just hit that subscribe button if you want to get these latest forecasts. We'll get you started on this Wednesday afternoon. Here's the broad view, our visible satellite imagery for us here. And you can see it's a beautiful day. It's getting warmer outside through most of the area with a couple of spots that have been a little bit cooler, but we'll start off in our eastern areas. And again, on this Ash Wednesday, as some carnival celebrations continue in places like Trinidad, the weather has been exceptional. We stay with our easterly breezes outside. It's still kicking up some surf and sea conditions, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. But look at these temperatures. They're in the mid and the upper 80s. Even Dominica here has hit 91 for a daytime high across portions of the island. So it's getting hotter outside. Humidity is coming back for a ride. Now, if you like this weather, you're going to enjoy the next few days. There's some cooler days coming, though, with that next front. And the weather has cooperated through portions of Puerto Rico, Carnaval de Ponce there. It's been very nice. 86 the daytime high on this Wednesday afternoon. You notice we're having a few clouds develop across the islands here as we roll through the day, but not a lot in the way of rain. Again, just a little bit of cloud coverage to get us out of the direct sunlight. It's the same scenario in Hispaniola as well. Port-au-Prince is at 93 for the high. Santo Domingo there in the Dominican Republic up to 90 for the daytime high. My friends in Jamaica, again, getting a little bit warmer outside. Kingston up to 88, Montego Bay 84. Now, some of you in Jamaica have let me know that you've had at least some rain during the morning hours. And this cloud coverage in the afternoon isn't promoting a lot of shower activity here. We'll talk more about that coming up. But again, we're in the 80s there. Where it's a little bit cooler is up in the northwest Bahamas. Again, we've had a very weak front come in. This front not really brought a lot of rain. It brought some wind and a little bit of cooler weather. 73 in Freeport right now, 75 in the Nassau area. So that's kind of what it looks like temperature-wise. I do want to get into what we're going to be talking about as far as the winds go for us here. Just going to take 1 second and adjust this model. And by the way, if you see a tropical storm icon there, obviously you can ignore that. The computer system is just picking up on an erroneous system there. So obviously there's nothing out there. I mean, there's some strong winds in Bermuda. They've had some 35-mile-an-hour wind gusts, but nothing tropical. So looking at the winds here over the next 5 days, I want to everyone to notice that we're still mainly staying with our easterlies, right on through the Caribbean, into the Northwest Caribbean, and even portions of the Bahamas, a little bit more of a southeast wind there. There'll be a couple of areas of maximum winds that I want to highlight in a second, but this is still kicking up some surf and sea conditions issues as well. So that's the next thing I want to talk about, are our wave heights. Going to take myself off camera real quickly. Now, in general, surf and sea conditions are improving. That is good news. We no longer have a high surf advisory for Puerto Rico or the northern side of the Leeward Islands, but we still have some issues in the Bahamas and in Barbados as well. Now, generally speaking, the winds are kind of coming out of the north, as you can see that. The wave heights will relax a little bit in these areas over the weekend, and then they'll start to pump back up again in the Bahamas with the next front early next week. One more time on this real quickly. If you look back towards the ABC Islands, you see those yellows kind of developing there. You're going to have a maximum of wind in the southern Bahamas as we get, or excuse me, in the southern Caribbean as we get towards the weekend. So some of the areas to contain and monitor for the Bahamas: small craft advisory for Atlantic exposed waters. Not everywhere, but small craft shouldn't be venturing out into the Atlantic exposed waters over the next couple of days. And then for Barbados, we continue with our swells of around 5 to 7 feet on the western coastline. Small craft should exercise caution on the western coastline of Barbados. Obviously, beachgoers need to use caution, and surfers as well. These swells should stay with us through tomorrow and then begin to relax Friday and into the weekend, at least for a few days, until the next system comes in and probably cranks them back up again as well. All right, so I want to show you another kind of graphic representation of the wind here. And again, ignore that tropical storm icon. I've got these presets to show any tropical system, so they're going to be popping on from time to time, but again, you can ignore it. So as we look at this wind profile here, now we're looking at kind of areas of maximum winds, and again, towards the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, it's going to be very windy with an easterly wind of around 20 to 30 knots the next couple of days. Then, as we get towards the weekend, here comes that next front and that next wind push, and that wind is again going to get deep into the Caribbean with a strong shift of winds out of the north to bring us the wind and the rain and the cooler temperatures as well. So let's get into the rain aspect of this. The first thing I'm going to do is we're going to look over the next 5 days, and then I'm going to expand this out deep into the next week, and we'll talk about the impacts of this front with the rain and the wind. But over the next 5 days, and we'll start off and we'll go east to west. Again, it's a relatively dry forecast for the Lesser Antilles. These easterlies always carry a little bit of moisture. We could get some shallow rain, but nothing concentrated, nothing that's going to be heavy out there. Maybe if you catch a shower 1 or 2 of the next 5 days, that might be above average, to be honest. There could be some areas that don't get any rain, and again, there's not going to be a lot to put in the rain bucket. It's going to be warm, it's going to be humid, upper 80s to lower 90s in some spots, and an east to a southeast breeze here. Potentially towards the weekend, a little bit more moisture for Antigua and Barbuda and St. Kitts and Nevis and Saba and St. Martin and St. Bartholomew and Anguilla, even down towards Montserrat and Guadeloupe for a few more showers in this area Saturday and Sunday. Still not going to be a lot of heavier rain, but maybe just a slightly better chance. And that moisture tries to get into places like Tortola and St. John and St. Thomas and St. Croix in Puerto Rico. Still don't expect a lot of rain in this area, but an opportunity for a couple of passing showers, and maybe you want that relief from some of the heat. I know that portions of Hispaniola will, because again, Port-au-Prince hit 93 today, and temperatures might only climb between now and the weekend. We could see a few more showers off the coastline of the Dominican Republic, off of Santo Domingo's coast there, maybe in Punta Cana over the weekend as well. But again, don't expect a lot of shower activity there. Now, I do want to get back over to what's going on in Jamaica, and I already showed you the cloud covers there, guys. So we already kind of talked about the clouds building up in the afternoon. It's still not going to spell a lot of rain. Again, we'll try and get a few more showers with our winds turning more out of the southeast on Saturday and Sunday. But over the next 5 days, not a ton of rain here. I'm stopping this on Sunday, early on Sunday, mind you, but as we get into Sunday afternoon, again, just a little bit more in the way of some spotty showers. Look, if you catch a downpour, that's great. Let me know in the comments section below, but there's not a lot of you. Now, again, we might favor the southern coastline, Kingston and Old Harbor and Mandeville and Portmore and Spanish Town, a little bit more than some of the rain chances for places like Negril and Montego Bay and Ocho Rios. Those areas will be slightly cooler than the southern coastline, but the southern coast might actually get a couple more showers overall. So let me know what you're saying. I appreciate it. And by the way, if you want more detailed forecasts about Jamaica and other areas like the Bahamas, Belize, and Barbados, we are now offering memberships here at Meteo Mundo. And part of that membership gets you exclusive member access to a detailed forecast video for these areas, for Jamaica, the Bahamas, Belize, and Barbados. I really get into the details and all the different aspects. So if you want that detailed forecast, consider becoming a member. It's only 99 cents a month to become a member here. You get also custom badges and emojis to use when we do our live streams as well. And it's just a great way to support us here at Meteo Mundo if you like to do that. Again, just click that join button if you'd like to become a member. Okay, back over to the forecast here. So now I want to get into the areas that are really going to start to feel the impacts of this next front this weekend. And it's going to be the Yucatan, portions of Central America, and the Bahamas. Obviously our areas north and west. So here comes this front. This front reminds me a lot of the one last week. There's a lot more energy with it. There's a lot more wind and a lot more rain compared to the weaker front that just moved through the Bahamas 24 hours ago. So as I get into the weekend, and we'll start off in the Bahamas first. Now look, relatively speaking, the weather over the weekend is going to be pretty good for us here. This is Sunday afternoon, and we could just see a couple of spotty showers up towards Grand Bahama and Walker's Key. it's Sunday that the rain begins to move in. So this is Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. And then as we stair step it towards 6 o'clock, now we start to see this front really begin to impact our area with wind and rain. I'm going to monitor the situation. Could even be some thunderstorm activity here, a little bit of instability in the atmosphere. But obviously that's kind of just the first sign of the weather going downhill. So by Sunday afternoon, you might want to be thinking about going back indoors. And I'll keep an eye on the timing of this. But again, for Freeport and Marsh Harbor and Nassau, generally speaking, most of the weekend is going to be okay. Now notice again that the rain extends all the way down towards Cancun and Cozumel. So maybe you're taking a cruise ship there this weekend or just enjoying the Yucatan in general. Again, we're good through Friday, even Saturday afternoon, but as we get into Sunday, you can see that wet weather spreading fairly quickly, by the way, over the southwest Gulf of Mexico and into the Yucatan, and then this will extend down into places like Belize City and Roatan fairly quickly. So that's what it looks like over the next 5 days, but you know what? I'm not going to stop there. We can just go out as far as we want here at Meteo Mundo, so I'm going to take it all the way out until the 23rd. What do you say we do that? It's going to take 1 second for all of that to loop up. And as it does so, again, let me remind you, if you're not a subscriber here to Meteo Mundo, that is absolutely free. Click that subscribe button right now if you want the latest forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. And again, thank you so much for liking the video as well. So here is how I see this playing out early next week. This rain gets deep into the Bahamas with some heavier rain as well. We're going to see wind and rain for places like the Cayman Islands and then Jamaica as we get into Monday and Tuesday. And then this rain does move off towards the east. Now, we don't see a lot of rain yet on the model for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and the northern side of the Leeward Islands, but we're going to have winds that are going to be moving in different directions, basically piling up some of that moisture over these areas. And just like last week, I think there's the opportunity for some heavier rain there. The models aren't showing it yet. That is something that I'm going to be monitoring. So it's going to get wetter there as well. But the wind is going to be another big story. I'm going to go back over to our wind vector product here. And if I carry this out to, let's say, the 21st or so, something like that, basically midweek, you can see again what these winds are going to do. And again, ignore that tropical icon. I will get it out. But look how deep into the Caribbean our north winds push. And some of you in the Cayman Islands and Jamaica told me about some of the water issues you had with that strong push of north winds last week. That is a possible scenario for this upcoming front early next week as well. I saw some video out of the Montego Bay area in Jamaica, and they had waves crashing over the seawall there with those strong northerlies. So very fresh north winds for the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos, the Cayman Islands, and Jamaica. There you can see that wind shift. And what I mentioned here, if I go out just one more day or two here on the model, so let's expand this out until about the 23rd. And when I do that, you'll see in these areas, these winds, well, you know what, I went out a little bit too far actually here. Let me go back to the 22nd, because there's a confluence of winds here. You can see that shift, kind of a northeast wind here and more of a due east wind across the Leeward Islands, where we could have some of that moisture developing over this area, and that could be some pockets of heavier rain if the moisture comes along for the ride. But if nothing else, you can see this push of north wind, and it's going to get cool again. I expect a lot of areas to have just some daytime highs in the 70s. Some of you last week weren't very happy about that, but this is a big weather feature. This is a big storm system that's going to be moving through here again early next week. So got to keep an eye out for that. I'm going to let it loop one more time. You can see that heavy rain coming in, and when the rain moves into your area, the winds turn out of the north. It'll be very windy, and it'll be much cooler as well. So that's what I'll be monitoring for the week ahead. You can monitor us across all of social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or a video that I would love to use here on our YouTube videos? It is myMediaMundo@gmail.com. But find us on those other platforms as well. We do some exclusive content on some of those. But again, this is home for us here on YouTube. Thank you so much for liking the video. Thank you so much for subscribing. I'll keep an eye on you across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Have a great rest of your day. And friends, I'll see you soon right here at Meteo Mundo.